Welcome to the case study for Russian learners, and in this video you're going to learn how my students hold meaningful conversations in Russian in just 6 months. So it seems that nowadays Russian learners have lots of opportunities to learn, but sometimes not much results. Why does this happen? There are tons of apps, blogs, books, courses, Instagram accounts, YouTube channels, etc. Nevertheless, most Russian learners are still struggling to converse with a native speaker. Meet Richard Irvine from Devon, the UK. He was a typical Russian learner before we've met. Here's how Richard was learning. He got his Duolingo and played it every day, watched Fedor and Daria on YouTube, followed several Instagram bloggers and watched their stories, found a teacher on iTalki and were practicing once a week one-on-one, signed up for both Pimsleur and Babel. Then he bought some books, short stories in Russian and Penguin Russian course, but that didn't work, and here's why. First, on the online courses and boot camps, he was left to his own devices, having no one to practice with. Second, the one-on-one tutoring session had no structure, and Richard was just having friendly chat with his teacher about things they both liked, and he wasn't learning much. The books were just chilling on Richard's bookshelf and were all dusty because they weren't very engaging, and they were not speaking to him, of course, right? Alright, so the harsh truth for most Russian learners is that real communication with native speakers is still very challenging. And it's hardly possible to hold a meaningful conversation with your friend or wife. And also, there is no one to practice with, or maybe the words aren't readily available, and it's so hard to build even a simple sentence. So what is it that makes some Russian learners holding meaningful conversations in Russian, while others are going blank and struggle to build even the easiest questions and sentences? It's a smart learning system that provides proper practice, builds a routine, and gives guidance. My name is Vladimir Zhalibo, and I'm a Russian speaking coach. And in this video, I'll tell you about the simple proven system consisting of 3 components that helps speaking with Russian native speakers confidently, and how you can put this to work starting from now. You will also learn 5 common mistakes every Russian learner makes, and 2 things every fluent Russian speaker do, and the strugglers do not. Also 3 tricks that would help you to learn Russian twice faster. So that were the exact same strategies I used to help dozens of Russian learners to improve their speaking skills to a point where they can easily strike off a meaningful conversation about their daily life and even make jokes in Russian. Some of my students can now speak the language of their loved ones and children, even at home. And others are comfortably traveling to Russia or Kazakhstan, like Mr. Bold. And some of them are able to strike off a conversation with a Russian babushka in a Euro market in San Jose. So if you are a Russian learner looking for a smart way to learn that would provide guidance and accountability, speak more confidently, and understand Russian speech easier, you're definitely in the right place. Now let's get back to Richard and check why he was struggling speaking. Here are his main 4 mistakes and problems. First, Richard had no one to practice with, or had no one to talk to. Second, Richard didn't have a system or structure in his studies, and he just learned here and there. Richard didn't have a reliable source of grammar and vocabulary, as most of the materials are tailored for marketing, not language learning. And Richard didn't know how to learn vocabulary and was writing separate words with their translation in his copybook. Here's what happened next. He's almost given up, because he started to think that he didn't have a gift for languages. But then we started learning on my spoken Russian mentoring program, and now Richard is conversational in Russian is able to speak about his everyday life and more, and is able to comfortably travel to Russia, Kazakhstan, or any other Russian-speaking country. Here's what Richard said about the program eventually. Happy to confirm that Vladimir speaks the truth. I have learned more in 1 month of studying with him than in 6 months of trying to learn on my own. Let me tell you why this happened. Last 8 years, I've been creating a system that would help my customers start communicating in Russian confidently. And here's why it works. Russian language is notorious for its complicated grammar, long words, and weird Cyrillic alphabet. That's why my students needed a method that would allow to simplify the learning process to focus on communication instead of learning the rules by heart or doing unnecessary things. And the method suits you if you want to get a structure, accountability, and a system in learning. Stop being embarrassed and shy while speaking. Understand Russian speakers easily. Build sentences smoothly. Stop going blank while speaking and always have someone to speak to. The system allows to crack the code of Russian language. And if you already feel that this is right for you, go ahead and apply for a free consultation right now to check if you qualify. Just hit that button below. Alright, let's keep on moving. Cracking the code of Russian language requires, first, appropriate grammar, and that's 15%. Second, appropriate vocabulary, that's 25%. Number 3, appropriate speaking practice, which is 60% of the practice in general. What about you? I bet you were practicing grammar, learning vocab, and spoke with Russian native speakers, but sometimes even people who are doing the things I've mentioned don't start communicating. Let's check what's wrong with it. So first, grammar. Why 95% of Russian learners can't use grammar properly, even if they know rules on paper? Let's check what's wrong with it. First, with grammar, we shouldn't be focused on details to get conversational. Instead, we only learn topics that help us to speak about a wide variety of situations. Let me show you what I mean. So what if we would think of Russian as a tree you're drawing, and branches are topics and grammar structures you know. Instead of adding some leaves to a branch you already have, which is elaborating grammar, for example, go ahead and draw other parts of the tree, which means to learn significant grammar and vocabulary topics that would cover a whole new area of life. Let me show how this works with the notorious verbs of motion, for example. Instead of learning hundreds of forms for every type of transport imaginable, like ехать, ходить, ездить, идти, летать, лететь, плыть, плавать, and etc., you can just use Russian verb to be to cover that ideas. And here's how you do it. Он был в Москве literally means he was in Moscow, instead of он ездил в Москву, which would mean he went to Moscow. Я бываю в магазине, which I'm in a shop on a regular basis, instead of я часто хожу в магазин, which I often go to the shop. How does it help you? You can concentrate on communication and new topics rather than learning something that you might avoid for a while. Second, let's move on to vocabulary. Why Russian learners know a lot of words but struggle to build sentences? Let's check what's wrong with it. Because it's not the size or amount of words that matters, but how you use it. And to use Russian vocabulary, you need to do this. Use the literal translation method to understand the mechanics of the language. For example, меня зовут Vladimir isn't my name is Vladimir. It's they, which is implied, yeah? Call me Vladimir. This helps you understand how the language actually works. Meet Valentina Mantovani. And when Valentina started learning on the program, she had a very limited vocabulary and was going blank while speaking. After just 6 months on the program, Valia was able to have deep and meaningful conversations on various topics using a system provided on my mentorship program. Moreover, Valentina was exposed to a tremendous amount of vocab of more than 3,000 words, 20% of which she can now use actively, and she's still building her active vocab. And one more thing is, of course, speaking. And we gotta check how to overcome embarrassment and the fear of mistakes once and for all. And here's the way. Control is key. Be the boss of the conversation to grow your speaking confidence. If you control it, you always know the context and thus can easily understand what's being discussed. Now let's think how you can do it. The key thing to control the conversation is the question. And on my program, we use a unique approach of revolver questions. Revolver question is a unique weapon for everyone who wants to speak to a native speaker from the very beginning of the journey. Here's how you use it. For example, the question is "У тебя есть blah blah blah," right? Do you have blah blah blah? X is a variable and or a revolving part. You can add any variables there and have a conversation of 30 minutes just knowing only these sentences merely by adding different things and people instead of the X. And you're the boss. You know what people usually answer. Then you just expand the amount of structures like that, right? And voila, you are conversational. Meet Dana Smirnov. Dana is a super busy lady, a working nurse and a mother of 2 amazing kids. And yet, thanks to her discipline, she was able to speak Russian with her husband Anatoly at home. We started learning from the bare bottom with Dana and learned all basics. Alphabet, verb conjugations, adjectives, vocabulary about food, places, and etc. After that, we added various vocabulary on topics like psychology, politics, opinions, giving Dana an opportunity to have deeper and more meaningful conversations with Anatoly. Now, Dana is able to understand most of their home conversations easily and answer appropriately. So, there are 2 ways. The hard one, decode Russian language on your own. The easy and the smart way, start working with a person who knows exactly what, how, and when should be learned and done. So how the process works. First, we'll be focused on 3 main problems that every Russian learner faces. Expanding vocabulary to understand what's being said and never go blank while speaking. Improving grammar to build questions and sentences. Building conversational skills. As for the consultation, this consultation will take around 60 minutes and you'll be speaking with me personally. Also, I'll help you identify what you've already got and how to put together a strategy to dramatically improve your speaking skills. I can help you if you enjoy Russian language, culture, or history to have a broader perspective. Secondly, if you have Russian-speaking friends and want to understand them to have even more fun together. Thirdly, if you are in a relationship with a Russian speaker, like wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, etc., to appreciate your partner fully and to communicate with your in-laws. Or maybe you want to travel to Russia or any ex-USSR countries and want to feel comfortable talking to locals, help babushkas, and etc. And number 5, you have Russian or Ukrainian, etc. heritage. So here's how the process works. The first step is to apply for a consultation pushing the button below. Second step is a discovery call, and here's what happens there. We'll talk and you'll either be a fit and I extend an invitation for you to keep working with me as one of my clients, or if you're not a good fit, then it's totally okay and there won't be any hard feelings or obligations or anything like that. Either way, you'll receive an insanely valuable consultation and will walk away with a newfound clarity as to where you are right now and what's holding you back from achieving the results that you want. That, together with the exact next steps necessary to take action, will help you break through your barriers. It will likely be the most valuable 60 minutes that you invest in your Russian language this year. But right now, I have more than 200 Russian learners, of course, and they applied for the last 30 days alone, so this opportunity is extremely limited because of the intense one-on-one time needed to provide you with the results at the call, right? And I generally work only with 10 customers at a time, and now 7 of 10 spots are already taken. So I'm looking for I'm looking to fill the next 3 as soon as possible. So please understand that this window of opportunity won't be available for long. Also, I already know something about you. I bet you are very busy and life can get in the way, and you've already tried learning and postponed it several times already. Or maybe it didn't work last time, but let's use this chance so you could reach your goals in Russian and feel accomplished. Apply for a free consultation right now to check if you qualify, and just hit that button below to fill out the form. Waiting for you. Все, пока-пока.